Thank you for all coming today. We're getting a little bit of a late start, but I think that's okay. It's so beautiful outside. I know it's hard to get in here on an afternoon. I see our internship classes are here, which is fantastic. And we have some other students that are here as well. And so that's even better for you guys that have not gone out on internship yet or still need a bit of direction. Today we have a great panel of alumni from all the way from 2014, I think is the earliest, to 2017, right? The latest. And so these professionals were sitting right where you are sitting right now, and probably had a lot of the same nervous feelings and anxiety and worry that you have, or you might have right now. Some of them might still have that, actually. But they can, the purpose for today is for them to share a little bit about their experiences and answer some of your questions and provide an opportunity for you to network together. And so we'll have some formal, informal questions, and then we'll break out. You can help yourself to a snack and approach these guys over here and ask some questions, okay? So I'd like to start first by having the panel introduce themselves. And actually, if you could introduce yourself, tell us when you graduated, tell us where you did your internship. Okay, we'll start with that. You can probably pick that right up.
My name is Abu Jacob. I graduated in December 2016. I did my internship at Boston Children's Hospital, and now I work there.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
How you doing? I'm Derek Young. I graduated in 2017. And, I did multiple internships, but my internship that I did through this school was at Holy Cross. And I'm currently the head strength and conditioning coach at Wentworth Institute of Technology.
How you doing? My name is Justin Gagnon. I graduated here in 2014 with my exercise health sciences degree. I did my internship at Northeastern University. They have a human performance exercise physiology lab there. That was a great experience if anybody is into that. They have a DEXA there, VO2 max, and a bunch of other things that I still apply today with Greg Cloutier. So currently I'm back in school working on a master's degree, finishing up physician assistant studies.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nietzsche. I graduated in 2014. I did my internship at the Mattapan Community Health Center in Boston here, and I went on to do my master's in project management at Northeastern University.
Hi, my name's Kyle Thibodeaux. Like Derek, I've also done quite a few internships. The one I did for school was actually here to the Beacon Fitness Center. Did some management work and kind of did a little bit of everything here. Currently a strength and conditioning coach or a personal trainer. Love what I do.
All right, thank you. So we've got a very, diverse group with different interests and backgrounds and different levels of education and experience. Abu, could you talk a little bit about your transition from your internship into the role you are in now? Make sure, can you guys hear him okay? Make sure you speak
not really.
close.
Okay, I would. Yes, so graduated 2016, so that means I got my internship that fall, the September 2016 through December. I did my internship through Children's Hospital in Boston, and it was nerve-wracking that to find the right internship for you, it is the best stepping stone to know what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And if you have the ability to find the right internships, kudos to you. If not, don't worry, you will find it. So I started as an intern in the dermatology and allergy department as an administrative intern. I did a lot of projects with them, And after finished my internship, I applied internally through the hospital. And I was the admin person in the recovery room for the Boston Children's Hospital. And now I just started a job 3 days ago as an injury prevention specialist with the trauma team. So that's where I'm right now.
Great. Derek.
When I was here, I made sure, I always knew I wanted to be a strength and conditioning coach. So I hooked up with Jeff Ebbs, who was an amazing guy here. He's the head strength and conditioning coach for the Beacons and all their varsity teams. And being in his situation now, or the similar situation, it's definitely tough when there's one guy. So it definitely gave me a good insight to what it's like to be a collegiate strength and conditioning coach. From there, over the summer, I took anatomy physiology, which, as you guys know, is probably the worst thing you take here. That summer, I spent with BC High, which is right next door. I volunteered in that weight room, so that gave me experience with high school population and middle school population with a summer camp. From there, like Abu had said, your internship is very important. One piece of advice was don't waste it, because those are what's going to get you to your next step. So Dana actually hooked me up with Jeff Oliver, who's the head strength and conditioning coach at Holy Cross. Another amazing guy, really reached out, helped me out. I spent the summer working with him, pro hockey, football, like you name it, just like vast range of athletes. From there, he hooked me up with Mike Boyle Strength and Conditioning, who's, and in the strength and conditioning field, considered the GOAT. So I spent about a year and a half working there, and from there, it all comes back to the people you know, and it always will. Jeff Ebbs actually recommended me for my job that I currently have. So, relationships are going to be the most important thing for you going forward, at least in my field. What you know is kind of here, versus like the quality of your character and the people you meet along the way is way up here. So if I had any advice going forward, I'd say volunteer, intern, before you graduate, before your internship's there, spend as much time as you can trying to build relationships. That's it.
Yeah, that was very well said. So towards the end of my time here at UMass, I was in my senior year. I think my junior
Justin,
year.
do you mind bringing it just a little bit closer to
Yeah, no
you?
problem. Sorry about that. So my junior year, I started working as a medical assistant on the work study over in the University Health Services. So I have a background in like military medicine. I was a medic in the Army for a while and did a bunch of things like that. So I had kind of this hybrid interest in like exercise, fitness, health, and medicine. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with. So kind of led me to seeking out this degree here. When I got here, I started really going into like the fitness level of it, and I still had the clinical side that I wanted to, build on. So I was seeking out some certifications. I did a bunch of personal training certifications, did some personal training at Boston Sports Club that I did after I graduated for a little while as well. But the clinical time I got here as a medical assistant was actually like very beneficial, and we had this exercise health sciences club that I don't know if you guys still have there. We went to conferences like the ACMS conference. We went and visited UConn strength and conditioning rooms there. So we were just kind of like very active, trying to do like diverse things while we were here. So once I graduated, I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do still. So I just went full-fledged into the personal training. I was doing that full time, and I was making pretty good pay there. Still working as an EMT, and I was really loving it. Did that for a couple of years, and then I took a federal job for the Department of Veteran Affairs. And I kind of had like all this ability to do research from the classes I took here, right? I took my 2 research methods here. I took my statistics, and then my personal training in EMT. I had my kinesiology courses and a bunch of other courses that I really felt like prepared me for what I was going to do after I graduated. So I put all this on my resume, right? And I said, I have all these skills, and nobody's going to tell me different, because I have letters of recommendation for my internship, letters of recommendation for my work study. I have this great bunch of courses I took. And I just started going at it. So I worked for the federal government probably for about 2 years, and then decided that I really wanted to get back into medicine, which led me into physician assistant school. So getting accepted into physician assistant school was all the volunteering, the clinical time, the letters of recommendation and all my experiences put together. So it's not just one thing, it's kind of like the bunch of things you do together and all the connections and people that are going to support you along the way. Sorry if that was a little long-winded, but.
I guess for me, my internship was also crucial. So definitely when trying to select an internship first in something you really, really want to do. A lot of times we see students select internship just to pass a course. For me, when I interned at Mattapan Health Center, one of the things that stuck out to me was when they asked, what can you bring to us? Because I wasn't getting paid, I wasn't offered a job, so I thought about it, and that was where the EHS department also came into play here. I remember applying for a little grant just because of the population being served at the health center at the time, and there was a lot of health disparities, especially with the population and hypertension and diabetes, and they helped me by approving funds for me to be able to implement just a basic exercise program for that ran about 12 weeks. I know I recruited a couple of students here who were already strength and conditioning coaches, and they were able to volunteer for me teaching patients. I think I had about 200 patients in the program, and it was great having patients come in, work out the morning and evening sessions, and that was what kind of like began my career for me, and that was how I also got hired over there. I stayed on for 2 years managing grants and different HRSA-funded grants, and it also opened me up to my research background as well, working with Dr. Julie Wright and Sarah Kamhai. And I also have a certification in clinical research as well. So looking at that, I knew I didn't want to do hands-on nursing or hands-on a medical field, but I wanted to be still in that field, but more on the back end. So I stayed on for a while before moving to the Brigham and Women's Hospital, working in the electrophysiology department. I'm working with a lot of the cardiologists. And I was there for about a year and a half before I moved on back to nonprofit, working with HIV research as well. And I went further, as I said before, doing my master's in project management. So all these experiences was able to guide me into where I wanted to go, and still is guiding me, because I know the health field is so large that you can definitely go into any field. A lot of my alums here have the background in exercise, strength training, but it can actually go much, much farther than that. So that's it.
So I did my internship here. I played baseball, and I was also working with Dana on my thesis. So my thesis was on basically how research or the effects of exercise and PTSD or depression symptoms. Doing that thesis, I really found out that I did not want to do research. So I stuck with doing management or personal training. In my time here, I played baseball, and my freshman year, our strength coach actually quit on us halfway through our fall semester. So I had worked out and had trainers and kind of knew a little bit kind of what worked for me. So I kind of took leadership of my team freshman year, and basically found out right from then that strength and conditioning is what I kind of wanted to do. So from then on out, I kind of just helped out in the weight room here for the varsity teams, worked with anywhere from softball to soccer to hockey. But the biggest thing I vouch for you guys is if you do one internship through school and to just graduate, that's great, but it might not be the thing that gets you to where you want to be. All right, so I did a couple internships. So I did the one here. I took the easier route doing it here, but I would take the hardest route possible just so you can get more experience. If you find out you don't like it, it's just an internship. You're not stuck there, right? You can do plenty of other internships, do the grunt work, do the things you have to do, all right? But all that grunt work is going to give you opportunities and a lot of relationships down the line that, especially for me, Derek mentioned too, those relationships are going to take you to the next level. Even if you worked for someone for 2 months, if you made a great impression with them, that 2-month period can help you 2 years down the line when you're looking for a job or maybe a new line of work. So take chances, but definitely, I wouldn't just stick with one internship. If you have the time to do it, I'd do one and maybe do another one that's completely irrelevant or completely different than what you think you might want to do.
Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you there. That's great. Okay, I'm going to ask some directed questions to you guys, and then anyone else that wants to chip in can. I know that most of you in here are completing your internship right now, so you're getting towards the end, but there are some others. Derek, could you speak a little bit about balance? So, Derek works a lot. Derek's got a family. He's got a lot balancing. And I think a lot of you are in similar situations too. So maybe you could just talk about how you balance and you are successful at the same time.
Yeah, so when I started here in school, I had already had a full-time job with the city. I'd been working there as a mechanic from 3:30 to midnight every day. So I was going to school pretty much full-time and working full-time, 8 hours there. And that really hasn't changed at all. So to put in perspective, when I was working at Mike Boyle's, I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning, going there, coaching till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, coming home, either sleeping or eating, because I couldn't do two, then going to fix trucks from 3:30 to midnight. So at the end of the day, you're never going to get away from having to work hard, at least in my field of being successful. This was all while I have a wife, a house, trying to build a life around that as well. So along with all the stuff we've been talking about as far as, you know, building relationships, stuff like that, you'll never get away from hard work. And I still do it. I still work till about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, writing programs. I get up, I fix trucks, you know, till 2 o'clock, and then I'm over at Wentworth, coaching all night, coaching about 150 athletes a day. So part of it's, this goes back to that intern stuff too, you know. You're going to figure out whether you want to do it and the amount of work you're going to have to put in, and I promise it's going to shock you. If you're going into the field of strength and conditioning, and I imagine that's true for any field. In my field, for those who have researched strength and conditioning, knows the field's very saturated. A lot of people want to do it. A lot of people have Instagrams that think they know a lot of stuff. And, you know, people say life's not a competition. I'm telling you right now it is. If you're willing to work hard, I promise I'll outwork you. And if that's the case, I'm probably going to get the job. So, not to be mean.
Anybody scared out there? Did you want to add to that, Kyle?
So, I mean, I'm right in his boat right now. I'm getting up at probably 3:30, getting to work for 4:30, training, coaching classes from 5 a.m. till probably 7:30 at night. Breaks here and there, but the easiest way that, like, so I don't go crazy is once I get home, I'm home, I put my phone away, computers away, unless I have to do programming or something like that. I try to kind of just disconnect, don't answer emails, don't look at emails, try to just shut my mind off so I actually have a life, you know. Weekends I usually work too, so it's like the rare occasion I do have a day off, like Saturday, I'm going to the Red Sox game with some buddies, just get to shut off completely. But you can't avoid the hard work, but you got to try to find that balance so you don't get burnt out. Because I think probably 2017, I was still working same hours I am now, but Saturdays, Sundays, I was training from 7 a.m. till probably 5 at night, and then doing programming, emails after that. Didn't really have that balance of work and life, so I got burnt out, got sick, had the flu, and that kind of forced me into finding a balance. But working hard is going to get you to where you need to be, right? But you also got to find that balance of having a life, having friends, spending time with family, so you don't go off the deep end.
It's hard. I know a lot of you guys are doing that now. You know, it takes a lot to be successful when you have so many people relying on you. Justin and Vivian, if you could help as well, can you give some insight on what students can expect or could expect moving on to graduate school?
Sure. So I could say this: I never felt like I was the smartest person in my class, in any of my classes. I was never the one to get a straight 4.0. I had to grind. I had to work for every grade I got. You know, did I get A's, B's? A lot of times, yeah, because I knew I had to, but I was the one that had to put in the extra work. I wasn't the one that could read the material once. So when I went to physician assistant school, right, now I probably got the smartest of the smartest people in here, because you got to have like almost 4.0 GPA to get in this place. And it was intense. It was probably 8 to 10 hours on campus each day. And I'd probably say that was most closer to 12 to 14, and then having to go home and you would have to put in another 4 or 5 hours. There was beds set up in the class. You would have to go to the anatomy physiology labs to do that stuff. You would have practicals. You would have conferences that you would have to go to that were 3 hours away, and then come back at like 1 in the morning and then take an exam at 7 a.m. There's no failure rate, so they basically are looking to cut people out of the program, right? If you're not keeping pace, you're gonna go. So it was really competitive. It took a lot of time and energy, and at the beginning of it, I was getting burned out. I was like, you know what, this just isn't for me. I'm tired, I'm unhealthy, I have a headache, and I don't feel good, right? So I started talking to some people, and it was just basically what I figured out is that the time I'm not studying, I can't be thinking I should be studying. So that time that I'm off, kind of like what Kyle was saying, you're off. You don't start thinking like, what about this, what about that, I need to hurry up and do this, or I could take care of my next exam, or this or that. So I would always commit a certain amount of time away without thinking about it, turn my phone off, turn off my emails. And all my friends now are all away, right? So we're all in school together. So now we had to commit to not talking about school when we were outside of school, because that was our whole life. So committing to that, committing to exercising 3 to 4 times a week, keeping a healthy diet, and then keeping as many routines as I could possibly keep. So if I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, ate, exercise, or vice versa, I try to keep those routines, and those routines in life help me kind of get through it, you know, help things ease it out. And from there, I'd say I used to sit in the front of the class, and then I went and I sat all the way in the back of the class, and my grades went up like, I don't know, I can't tell you how much. I think it was just the anxiety of being up front, or like the position in there, or everything like that. So there's a lot of different things you could do to manage. Those just a few examples, I guess.
I guess for me, the road to graduate school was was a little tough, because I was here at UMass and I was pregnant at one point, and I remember finishing my finals and have given birth the next day. So work balance was really crazy, because I went from having all the 2 kids and being pregnant for my 3rd child as well, and it was crazy. And after that, I remember telling myself, you know what, I'm going to take a year off and just relax, because I was in school back to back, nothing, and I took a whole 2015 off, and I still felt like I needed to do something, because I still didn't feel fulfilled. So having that focus to your final goal kind of like will help guide you. When I decided to finally go back go back to school, working full time, I remember like I have a good relationship with my director, so I could easily tell her I need to leave quickly because class starts, because class is from 6 to 8 o'clock, spending 8 hours at work and then another 2 hours in class. You really try. I remember sometimes I really don't pay attention in class. I just take pictures because it was hard, and it's a challenging program, because the program technically is supposed to be for 2 years, but I ended up finishing in 10 months. So it's crazy trying to have that goal. So first of all, you have to have a goal. Set a goal, short-term goal, a long-term goal. What plans do you have in place in completing them? They have to also be realistic. For me, I knew that I didn't want to spend more time in school. I had to figure out my financial aid issue, clear up my student loan. Those were like my burning pain, if you can call them that. And it wasn't easy, but having good advisors also helped me, and having family support, because leaving a newborn baby and going back to class is really hard. And that's what I literally had to do. I moved my baby to my mother. I'm like, here, I need to finish this, because I was like, I didn't want distraction, not that they are, but sometimes they are. And that was what worked for me. And in graduate school, it's hard trying to figure out your work balance. I remember one time I was up 24 hours because I needed to finish a project. I didn't sleep, and then I had to go to work again at 7 o'clock in the morning. So you're burning on basically zero sleep. But because I knew this had to be done, I basically didn't have a life, let's say that. I didn't have summers with my kids. I didn't have summers with friends. 2016 was the year I finally had to do something, but it still felt weird because I was always constantly on the go. So I guess for anyone thinking about graduate school, think about how long you want to be in a program. Some people take their time, some people don't. So it depends on what your passion is, what you want to achieve, and once you have a plan in place, you can definitely achieve that.
I promise, when I invited these speakers today, I did not pick the hardest working people that I know. Do you see the trend here? This is really what it takes to be successful and to move on. You think that maybe you've put a lot of hard work in now. The next step doesn't quite let up, okay? There's still a lot of hard work to get through. Abu, could you talk a little bit about, I know you already did, but maybe provide an example or two of just how important your relationships with your professional peers have helped you move along.
Yes. When you first start your internship, that's how I found my job at the hospital. Make sure they know your face. Make sure they know your name, what you do, what we'll be doing, because like she said, they're going to ask you, even though it's unpaid, they're going to ask you, what can you do for us? Because you're still technically considered as a Boston Children's employee, but you're not getting paid. So work ethic, it's extremely important because they don't look at you as an unpaid employee, they look at you as an employee. They look at you as, in those 3 months or however long as your internship is, did you make any change? Did you bring in a difference? Did you have any ideas? I worked my butt off for my internship because I loved Children's Hospital before I even got to apply for one day I'm like, maybe one day I will work here. And when I first moved to Boston, I'm like, I kind of want to work at Children's Hospital, but have no clue what they had, what they did. So when I got my internship, I was excited because this is my one and only chance to be in the hospital as my career, or at least my first or second or third job. And I did a lot of projects for them. They were doing a lot of efficiency changes. Like I did projects like how can we decrease patient waiting time in clinic offices, like how much time physicians taking to see a doctor, like 30-minute appointments, an hour appointments, how can we decrease that, at the same time improve the level of care. And I sat down outside the door, literally time in every time a patient and doctor walks in and walk out, timed it, averaged it for about like 80, 85 patients. It's a lot. When you like put it together, it's a lot of work, a lot of graphs, and I did that. They liked it, and then my very last day, and the director called me into the office, and thank you for doing all this, and he picked up the phone and called the HR, told me they need to hire me. So I didn't even apply for anything. I didn't ask for anything. They knew I wanted to stay at the hospital, but I was kind of surprised because he literally picked the phone, put HR on speakerphone, and talked to the HR representative of the senior director. It's like, you need to hire this person because we want him to be with our company. And that's how I started my career in insurance.
Great. You know what, chances are, if someone doesn't know your name, they probably won't look to hire you. If you don't stand out, if you haven't done something unique or valuable you won't be hired. So you need to really present yourself strongly and in a way that separates you from everyone else. Okay? As kind of a last question before I open it up, could you, what's one piece of advice that you would share with these students that are still here? You know, what should they make the most of while they're still here before they graduate, knowing that could be a month away or it could be a year away or more?
I think for me, it'll be the relationships of your professors, because I'm not here, but I still email. I have an active LinkedIn account, and I have professors write me a letter of recommendation. That is, I think you had us open up a LinkedIn, if I remember, and a Twitter account, because employers are looking at that. So if you think social media is just for your personal space, it's not. Employees are looking at everything. When I did my internship, I was careful not to post, for lack of a better word, irresponsibly online, because you never know how it's going to impact you in the workplace. So you have to be careful about your footprint out there, because everyone's looking at it, especially employers. If they say they're not, I'm telling you they are. So keep a very good relationship with your professors. So once you leave, they can also be a source of recommendations to you and as you go along in your career.
Thank you.
So in order to build good relationships with your professors, it's not just going to be like, saying hi in the hallway, how do you like your coffee, these type of things. How was your dinner last night? It might be from taking an officer position in a club. It might be volunteering at the medical tent during the Boston Marathon. It might be participating in research on campus. It might be shadowing professionals. It might be a lot of active things that you should do while you're here. It might be showing leadership and bringing members of your class together to go do community service, like within this area, because everybody can probably agree there's a lot to do community service-wise in Boston, especially the Dorchester area. So Jamaica Plains and everywhere. I lived in Boston for a long time, so I'd say definitely build those connections, build them on your internship, volunteer, shadow, and go the extra mile while you're here to make yourself stand out and give them a reason to remember you, I'd say.
Anyone else?
One thing I would suggest is, it's a motto that I've kind of lived by since I think sophomore year is live, learn, and pass on. I made a bunch of mistakes in professional, in school, whatever it may be, but if you can learn and kind of overcome that and then pass it on to the people who are under you, so like you guys, it helps. It helps a lot. You got to take chances in your position right now, so you can hopefully have a great opportunity to rise and you get a good career out of it. But if you don't do the grunt work and do some of the stuff like internships or free work, or just you have a free weekend and instead of going out and partying, you go and volunteer, or you go fundraise or do something like that, those things matter. People see that, and it'll make a big impact when you go, especially when you need a reference somewhere. Those things people won't forget, right?
Yeah, just to keep going on that, one piece of advice would be start now, start building relationships. I know it's been said 100 times up here, but I volunteered my entire time I was in school with a job, wife, all that stuff. And, you're never too young to start, because that was all experience and that all got me to where I am now. Like, if I didn't go see Dana, I would never have met Jeff. If I never met Jeff, I probably wouldn't have got in with Steve Kiley over at BC. If I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't have gotten an internship at Holy Cross, set me up with Mike Boyle. And my current job, if I never initially met Jeff Ebbs, I probably wouldn't be at it, because he was the guy that wrote the letter to recommend me. just, people don't hire because you have a 4.0. I'm not saying school isn't important, it really is. If you want to, especially you want to go to grad school, I know PTs, school is extremely hard to get into, but I didn't get my job because I had a 4.0. I imagine there's about 70% of you in here that have a 3.5 plus, and that's just at UMass Boston in this room right now. Okay, people hire you based on how good you were to the athletes in my situation, how fun were you to be around, and the people that you influenced along the way. So if you think about the job your dream job right now, someone in this room probably wants that too. And if someone in this room has done more to you to build the relationships and make themselves more hireable, tough luck. They're gonna get the job. So.
Just three things. Like they said, find other internships just to try things out. I did one for PT, and I absolutely hated it. It made me realize I did not want to do physical therapy at all. I found out through Craigslist. I just looked through places to see if there's anybody hiring. Try it out. You have plenty of options. Is all seniors here? Are they all seniors?
No, there's some that are, but most of them.
Most are seniors. Be open-minded. Be extremely open-minded to see, like I said, like all these guys did multiple internships to see whether they like it or not. It's like a flavor. Do you like this flavor? Do you like this flavor? And most importantly, do not be afraid to go back to square one. If you start something, you did something, you spend a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money doing it, but in your gut says, hey, I don't want to do it. Do not afraid to go back to square one, start from the bottom again, and it will do you good. I did that during my internship. That's the best advice I got. My manager at the time gave me as my goal because I was hesitant to all these, like making mistakes, do all these things. She's like, do not afraid to go back to square one. So do that, be grounded, try things out because this is the time to do it. The more time you wait, the more time is wasted, but that's also not saying you're not going to find anything, but definitely be open-minded.
And not so much time wasted, right?
No, not
Fruitful
at all.
time.
No.
So we've got, and I planned to have a PT here today too, but she knew she might have a little bit of trouble getting here, so unfortunately she won't be able to speak. But what I'd like to do is just open it up for specific questions from the audience. If anyone has a general question or a specific question for one of our panelists. Logan.
Just kind of a general question. What were some of the challenges you guys felt transitioning from kind of school to working full-time in a position? For the first time really, I guess. Being, officially out of school, I guess.
I think for me was working with different individuals. Because in the workplace, it's totally different than school. You have to be accountable for your actions. You have people you report to. So if you have an employee that's not pulling their weight, you have to step in and take responsibility because technically you all are working as a team. There's no sole person in charge of a certain role. You have to step to the plate. And for me, it was a little hard for me just to do that because from school, I'm sure you guys had opportunities to work in groups, and you definitely have experience where one person in the group is not pulling their weight, and you can easily report to a professor. At work, it's hard to go to your direct superior and say, hey, this person's not doing this. What have you done? What incentive have you done to try to figure out how to solve the issue before coming to me to complain? And that's one of the major things I learned quickly was they don't want to hear the problem, they want a solution. So I think that has been crucial, and it's helped me as I go along, so it's been great.
It's a great example. Thank you, Vivian. Go ahead, Derek.
You're going to make mistakes when you first start working. It's fine. You know what I mean? You're always going to make mistakes. I make mistakes still, and, I'm going to make a lot more. Don't worry about it. As long as you work hard and you put your best foot forward, you'll be fine. That's it.
Hi, Caroline. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you guys. Some familiar faces.
Yeah, right. Well, I have just a couple minutes. If you would like to just introduce yourself and tell us what you're doing now.
Sure. Okay. So my name is Caroline Carlisle. I graduated in 2015. I'm working as a medical assistant team leader at Harvard Vanguard in Kenmore in internal medicine, which is the adult medicine primary care department. Since I've graduated, I kind of have changed my mind a lot about what I wanted to do. I think originally I wanted to do like PT and OT, and I took this job as a chance to kind of like work in the field a little bit and shadow some PTs and OTs that actually work in our in the same site that I work at. And I figured out that that's not really the place that I wanted to go, and I've changed my course, and now I've taken some prereqs during night classes for PA school. So I'll be applying to PA school next year. I didn't really have a lot of the prereqs that they required from this program because I kind of went a different route. But now for the last 3 years, I've been taking classes at night at the Harvard Extension School. And now I'm fully prereqed up. I've got everything I need to apply. And I've got a lot of patient care hours that are really important for that application. Also, like I've got numerous amounts of letters and people who just want to support me in my application process. And that's all from the work I've done at Atrius, working as a medical assistant. I have a lot to say about the job as a medical assistant. I think it's great. I kind of got a little bit of what the audience here is into, and I see that there's some PT, OT, public health, some fitness management interest, and I think that that's really definitely in keeping with the nature of an exercise health science degree. Like it seems like everybody has a caring for other people. And I think that that can take you really far if you just follow that. My advice to you guys would be to work in any field that you are interested in before applying to your next step for education. So it's a little bit non-traditional, but I definitely stand by it.
I don't think anything's traditional here.
Yeah,
Boston.
certainly not my course.
Do we have another question out there? Anything? Well, any last words then, guys?
Sorry.
Well, you can catch up.
Yeah, sorry. I remember how I felt at this time. If you guys are seniors or graduating or graduating soon, I was like so freaked out about not knowing what I was going to do after graduation, and there's really no reason to freak out. I think working or if you're going to go to school after, like that will ease your worries like 100%. I felt so freaked out. I don't know why, but I really enjoy working now. So just go full force ahead for whatever you're interested in.
Anybody on this panel have perfect A's?
No.
You don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
What you do have to do is work hard, network with professionals and peers, right? And understand what your interests are and try them out, because something that looks good on paper, a salary, can be great for motivation, but really you want to go for something that doesn't seem like work, that's something that fits your lifestyle or something that brings you a lot of happiness. And so I appreciate you guys sharing your experiences with us today. What I'd like to do is just invite you guys to come up and say hello. I'm sorry? Oh, okay, one more thing, I'm sorry. Carlos, who is also an alumni of our program, both the undergraduate and now our graduate program director, earned his master's degree here as well. He's got just a couple words. You can use more.
I appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. As Dr. Camesso mentioned, I received my bachelor's from UMass Boston in Health Sciences, and then I received my master's in Exercise and Health Sciences here as well. And that's actually what I'm here to talk to you about. My current position is the Graduate Program Assistant. I work with Dr. Yu with the graduate program, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that as an option. I know that a lot of you consider PT school, or T school, or are unsure of what other options are currently available. And one of them is our program, which offers 2 concentrations at the moment: applied exercise physiology and physical activity and health promotion. So wherever your area of interest may lie, our current master's program may be right up your alley. We also have 2 specific programs right now. We have a traditional program, which may be better suited for graduating seniors. It is a 2-year program, full-time, and you can follow the thesis option or a practicum option, where a thesis is more research-based, a practicum option is more experience-based. You're out in the field. It's almost like a mini internship, but at a graduate level. And then for those of you who are underclassmen, we also have the brand new accelerated master's program. The accelerated master's program offers you the potential to wrap up your studies within a year and a half of extra study, as opposed to the full 2 years of the traditional program. The way that program works is, in conjunction with your undergraduate classes, you also start taking some graduate level courses as well. So by the time you're a junior or a senior, you could take 3 to 4 undergraduate classes, and then in conjunction with that, take 1 to 2 graduate level classes, and you start knocking out those graduate level credits that you need. So by the time you reach your senior year, you completed the majority, if not all, of your undergraduate courses and a good chunk of your grad courses as well, which really expedites the process. On top of that, for the accelerated program also has a few other perks, in that the cost of graduate credits versus undergraduate credits is much more expensive. But if you're a student in the undergraduate program, you pay the undergraduate fee. Another perk that it has is that in grad school, financial assistance is very difficult to come by. If you are a part of the accelerated program and you are currently receiving any undergraduate financial assistance, that would also cover your graduate level courses as well. Okay? Again, we have 2 concentrations: applied exercise physiology, which is really in-depth, focusing on the physiology of exercise and physical activity and how it impacts both individual people on a cellular level and a population level as well. And we also have the physical activity and health promotion component, which focuses more on, yes, we understand the importance of physical activity and health, but how do we get the greater population to understand that? And what that greater population is could be whatever you're interested in. So it's a really flexible program. I graduated from it myself when it was slightly different. And I always tell students that I'm really jealous of the opportunities that are available now, because I enjoyed it, but what's available now is really strong, really solid, and I think would be very beneficial to you as you move forward. Okay? So I'll be around if anybody has any questions, and thank you for your time. Okay?
Thank you, Carlos. So one of the major themes that have come out today is networking and meeting other people. So I hope you'll take the opportunity to come up and introduce yourself, say hello. As you know, or as you've heard, the value of a relationship can be the difference between getting a job or not getting a job. So take these opportunities seriously. I do appreciate you coming. Help yourself to a snack, a drink, and come up and say hello and ask a question if you like. Thank you guys very much.